Now, secret number 2, when you're going to say something, say it in a way, like we talked about before, that is memorable. The only thing to fear is fear itself. I have a dream. Ask not what your country can do for you. Mr. Gorbachev, tear down this wall. Those things, these lasered compelling messages, are encapsulating all sorts of thoughts and feelings and emotions and everything all together. So before you speak, figure out what it is that you want people to take away with them. What is your message?
For when we have faced down impossible odds, when we've been told we're not ready, or that we shouldn't try, or that we can't, generations of Americans have responded with a simple creed that sums up the spirit of a people. Yes, we can. Yes, we can. Yes, we can.
Here's the secret. It's a really simple thing. And all great communicators, both individually and to groups, follow this in one way or another. And that is, what is it that I feel? Communicate that. And what is it that I want? So when you're having a conversation with a friend and they're going on and on and on, say, stop. What do you feel? Or what are you feeling right now? And then secondarily, what is it that you want? Those are the 2 most important things to be communicated in a personal context or in a political context. Notice how Barack Obama does that.
I don't want that future for my daughters. I don't want that future for your sons. I do not want that future for America. It is that promise that's always set this country apart. That through hard work and sacrifice, each of us can pursue our individual dreams, but still come together as one American family to ensure that the next generation can pursue their dreams as well.
Talks about his feelings about America and how we all are one country and there's no red states, there's no blue states, we're all America. It's that purple speech. That is a feeling, his passion about America. What does he want? He wants a country that reflects that unity, that coming together, that purpleness, as it were. So you can do that in a conversation with your daughter or with your son or with your spouse. You know, what are you feeling? You're going on and on. Stop. Time out. What are you feeling? And what do you want? And when you communicate, share what you're feeling and what you want. So let's notice how Barack Obama does that in a macro, in a large context. And you can do the same thing at home. You can make your communications shorter and be much more to the point. We call it the lasered compelling message.
It was a creed written into the founding documents that declared the destiny of a nation. Yes, we can. It was whispered by slaves and abolitionists as they blazed a trail towards freedom through the darkest of nights. Yes, we can. It was sung by immigrants as they struck out from distant shores and pioneers who pushed westward against an unforgiving wilderness. Yes, we can. It was the call of workers who organized, women who reached for the ballot, a president who chose the moon as our new frontier, and a king who took us to the mountaintop and pointed the way to the promised land. Yes, we can to justice and equality. And together, we will begin the next great chapter in the American story with 3 words that will ring from coast to coast, from sea to shining sea. Yes, we can. Thank you, New Hampshire. Thank you. Thank you.
Secret number 3 is what I call the communication effectiveness continuum. If you're on one side, you're not going to be very effective. If you're on the other side of the continuum, you're going to be effective all the time, all the time. On the bad side are people who are performing. They're speaking at an audience because it's all about them. It's an ego-filled kind of communication. In the middle, where most people are, is they're making presentations. It's all about the information. Let me just present this information to you and then I'm done. One of the reasons that people responded so powerfully to Barack Obama in his initial keynote address in 2004 and after that is because they don't get a sense that he is preaching at them, They get a sense more that he is having a conversation with them. And that is an incredibly subtle but powerful secret of all great communicators. Ronald Reagan, John F. Kennedy, and even Franklin Roosevelt, when he was doing his radio addresses, he didn't call it the fireside performance or the fireside presentation. What did he call it? Fireside chat. It's just that sense of I'm including you. We're all together. We're just having a conversation. It makes it so much more fun. So go into every communication like that, and you'll see if you're performing at someone, you come off as being very preachy, and people have a lot of resistance to that. Or you're presenting, and it's all about the information, as opposed to what Barack Obama and other great speakers do is let's just have a conversation. Because people neurologically can appreciate and absorb conversation much more than they can presentation or performance. Now, the super great speakers, like Dr. Martin Luther King and Barack Obama, go even beyond that, where they drop all of that and they just, for a brief moment, you have a sense that there is no separation.
So I'm not worried about CEOs. I'm not worried about corporate lobbyists. I'm not worried about the drug companies or the oil companies or the insurance companies. They'll be fine. They're going to look out for themselves. I'm worried about the couple that's trying to figure out how they're going to retire. I'm worried about the family that's trying to figure out how they can save for their child's college education. I'm worried about the single mom that doesn't have health insurance. I'm worried about the guy who's worked in a plant for 20 years and suddenly sees his job shipped overseas. That's who I'm worried about. And that's who I'm going to be fighting for and thinking about every single day that I'm in the White House.
Notice what's going on here. It's a completely different relationship. It's not a performance at, it's not a presentation to, it's not even a conversation with. It's just Barack Obama saying, I'm just going to come here, I'm going to rip myself open, I'm going to be raw, I'm going to be naked. Let us create a better country for ourselves and our children. Secret number 4, the 4 languages of communication. If you only speak 1, you're a terrible communicator. If you speak 2, you're average. If you speak 3, you're pretty darn good. If you speak 4, you're a charismatic superstar. You have to be able to enter another person's world and speak their language. If you are going to get your message across, if you're going to be able to speak to everyone that you want to speak to and have them pay attention to you and respect you. And these 4 languages are as different as Swahili is to Spanish, is to Hebrew, is to German, is to Japanese. What are these 4 languages? Real simple. The visual language related to the visual part of the brain, the part that processes light, which is traveling at 186,000 miles a second, trillions of hertz, is the high-energy excitement language. Think Robin Williams. Barack Obama, clearly, because of the crowds he was able to amass during his campaign, he knew how to do that. That is the secret. You put out energy, energy comes back.
The pundits like to slice and dice our country into red states and blue states. Red states for Republicans, blue states for Democrats. But I've got news for them, too. We worship an awesome God in the blue states, and we don't like federal agents poking around in our libraries in the red states. We coach Little League in the blue states, and yes, we've got some gay friends in the red states. There are patriots who opposed the war in Iraq, and there are patriots who supported the war in Iraq. We are one people, all of us pledging allegiance to the Stars and Stripes, all of us defending the United States of America.
The second language is called auditory. That is the part that Ronald Reagan was the master at. He could take anything that he saw, that he thought about, that he felt, and he could put it into easy to understand language. Is it easy to understand? Are you articulate? That is what's so important to auditory people. They need to understand the words.
That is the true genius of America. A faith in simple dreams, an insistence on small miracles, that we can tuck in our children at night and know that they are fed and clothed and safe from harm, that we can say what we think, write what we think without hearing a sudden knock on the door, that we can have an idea and start our own business without paying a bribe.
Auditory digital is a whole different part of that auditory part of your brain. It's the Albert Einstein part. It's the Bill Gates part. Is there substance? Is there depth? Is there detail? Because some people crave that. You can't have credibility with many people unless you have that part of your brain where you can back up what you're saying as opposed to just big picture. Oh, I think this is... No. Give it some foundation. Give it some support. Barack Obama does that beautifully.
I'll invest $15 billion a year in energy efficiency and renewable sources of energy, like wind, solar, and biofuels, creating 5 million clean energy jobs over the next decade. Jobs that pay well and can never be outsourced.
But the most important language, the part that everybody is born with, but most of us throw away, we discard, it gets programmed and beaten out of us, is the sensitive, emotional, feeling part. We call this in neuro-linguistic programming the kinesthetic language or the kinesthetic mode. That is the part that allows you to connect with your spouse, with your child, with someone at work, or if you're a politician, with your audience.
I am not in this race to fulfill some long-held ambitions or because I believe it's somehow owed to me. I never expected to be here. I always knew this journey was improbable. I've never been on a journey that wasn't. I am running in this race because of what Dr. King called the fierce urgency of now. Because I believe that there's such a thing as being too late, and that hour is almost upon us. I don't want to wake up 4 years from now and find out that millions of Americans still lack health care because we couldn't take on the insurance industry.
Understanding these 4 languages is possibly the most important thing you can do for your relationships, your personal relationships. Some of you know that I had the great honor of being invited to Kensington Palace to coach, advise Princess Diana. And in getting to know Princess Diana and understand her relationship with Prince Charles, it dawned on me that there was no way in the world that those two people would ever have a relationship that worked. And so I created something that I call the Princess Diana, Prince Charles syndrome. And this will help you understand it perfectly. Princess Diana brilliantly spoke the visual human language, brilliantly spoke the kinesthetic human language. She was idealistic, she was visionary, she was excited, she was childlike, she was spontaneous. That's the visual part. She was also very feeling and very emotional and very sensitive and very vulnerable. That's the kinesthetic part. But her husband, and this describes many situations at home, people that I know all over the world, was not visual, was not kinesthetic. He instead was a 2-language communicator, but the 2 other languages, the auditory, the articulate wordsmith, and the auditory digital, the data-driven wonky person. So literally, there was one 2-language communicator trying to have a relationship with another 2-language communicator, but no frequencies matched. There were no gears that meshed, and therefore no communication, no real communication can happen. You solve these problems by you being the one to develop all of the languages so that you can communicate with anyone, anywhere, anytime, and they'll always listen to you.